Hey there, and welcome back to my desk. So, as of this video, I am currently working on the script for my next core video. I know I've been kind of like working on it for months right now because I have to juggle work and also all this other stuff. But it's currently, it's a 3DS related topic. I don't want to spoil the whole full topic because I might release this video publicly later on. But as like a little interlude in between me working on the script for this whole thing, I decided to take the opportunity to actually upgrade my capture card because I've had a 3DS capture card since 2018 or so, but this time I'm switching to a different model, and as I'm like kind of one of the few people who has like, it's going to be like switching between the two different prominent 3DS capture card models, I feel like I could take some time to talk about them. I'm not going to do like an objective comparison between the two because I'm not like a tech wizard or anything. I wouldn't know like, oh, this capture card has a higher bitrate than this one. No, I'm not going to do anything like that. I just want to talk about my personal experiences of using my current capture card that I've been using since 2018, the pros and cons of it, and what I hope to achieve by upgrading to the newer one. So here's my older one. It's complete in the box. It is an old 2DS, well, yeah, because there's a new 2DS XL, I'm gonna make the distinction here, but here we have the old 2DS in the box, complete with a capture card by Katsukity. So, if you don't know the history of 3DS capture cards, at first there was this guy called Loopy who was making capture cards for the original 3DS models, but after a while they sold out, and Katsukity stepped on the scene and started making capture cards for different systems, so including the 3DS XL, 2DS, etc. But of course, the Katsukity capture cards and Loopy capture cards are two different things. They use different software, different drivers, and everything. So they have their own pros and cons. Some people say Loopy capture cards are more reliable than Katsukity ones, and Katsukity ones have more support for, you know, Mac OS, and Loopy doesn't have that, etc. So we'll just focus on this one for now that I got in 2018 from their official site for around $300 US plus $19 US shipping, so around $319 US in total. So I did get real lucky with this because I just went on their website one day and they were kind of doing like a sale, and an old 2DS with the console. This is not like a service where I send my console there to get them installed. No, this is like a full complete in-box console with the capture card pre-installed on it, and for $300. So I figured, hey, that's actually a pretty good deal because before then I did not have like a 3DS capture card, and the only like viable capture method for me was to use Homebrew, which kind of looked like trash. So I just figured, hey, I was making a video on how Super Mario 3D Land saved the 3DS, so why not just, you know, try and get a capture card just to, you know, upgrade my capture quality. So this is my OG 2DS capture card. So let's open it up. And yes, I did repackage this back in its box since upgrading to my other one, but we're gonna take a look at it again. So first off, it has all the things that were in the standard 2DS box, like the manual and AR cards, and also the charging adapter that I can't use because it's in Hong Kong. But I do have here a little note here. So yeah, there's basically attached notes showing you where to download the 3DS capture software, and it's also a serial number apparently for making it work. I don't know how these work at all because I guess they're exclusive to each capture card, so I'm not going to show it on the camera, but yeah, it's a little weird that these need their own like serial numbers and anything. And also the URL in this note thingy actually doesn't work anymore because Katsukity actually shut down or went bankrupt in 2019. At that point, I have no idea what happened to them because they did come back. Well, their model of capture cards did come back. I think other companies just basically took up their production or something. So there's like multiple distributors all over the world doing Katsukity capture cards. I think there are websites out there that still do them. But yeah, that's kind of basically what they currently are. They never went out of stock or like, you know, got lost or anything. But they're still currently available, I believe. But they're just, you know, the prices may vary on that front, I think. And I believe inside this little thing we have the 2DS, my trusty capture card that I have been using since 2018. I still kind of like love the 2DS form factor. It looks stupid when it was first revealed, but you know, it's kind of its own unique thing, and I kind of love it for that. So yeah, this kind of just looks like your run-of-the-mill old 2DS, but on the back here we have the little top cover here that's been replaced by the capture card itself. There's a little like Katsukity logo imprint on the right side here. If I can show the light reflecting off it. But yeah, it's kind of weird that's there. But it's flat, so I don't know why that's there. But as you can see, it uses a mini USB port for for connecting to a computer, and this doesn't actually charge through this port. It only does the capture footage. And yeah, it's kind of not the most ergonomic thing to hold because it's already like a 2DS. I mean, the 2DS is pretty ergonomic to hold actually, but with this thing on the back, your fingers kind of get in the way. It's not the best thing, but you know, for $300 at that time, I'm not complaining. It works as it does. I can turn it on, and there we go. So it's kind of in a blank slate right now, aside from the fact that it's already hacked. Because I did do like a 3DS system transfer to transfer all of its data to my brand new capture card. But yeah, you can actually do system transfers between two hacked 3DSs. There's some like other bonus stuff that you might have to do to get your titles to show up, but you can indeed do that. So, you know, we still got CFW on here. And aside from that, you know, this just works as your ordinary 2DS, just with a thingy attached to the back. You know, same old stuff. So what I think I will do next is to basically connect this to my PC and show you how it all works, how the software works for this particular model. So here we go. Okay, so right now we have the Katsukity 3DS capture card hooked up to my PC through mini USB, and we have the viewer software open here. The 2DS is not turned on, that's why it says no signal up there, but once I turn it on, there should be a signal. We'll wait for it to, you know, kind of just warm up. There we go. Yeah, I think like 3DSs take a little more while to boot into the home menu after the latest system update, but there you go. We have the 3DS home menu here. This is like a fresh unit. That's why you're just seeing it, like, you know, the vanilla home menu and everything. But one thing you're immediately going to notice, well, you're not going to notice right now, but you'll see that no matter how I set the system volume, the volume out here on the PC is always going to be the same. So it's basically directly capturing the system audio. And audio is, in general, a bit of a weird thing, but we'll get to that in a bit. So, over on the top here, we can change the product key. We can see that I have actually inputted the product key into here, and you actually do apparently need to input this in order for it to work. I don't know if you can bypass it or anything. I would not know that, but, you know. We can also check the device ID, which I believe is like a USB connected ID thingy. We have you can open the INI file, and here we have a bunch of different options we can say here. So mainly what you want to know is that, of course, you can change the display. You can have pixel perfect, ×1 display. You can merge it to ×2 and ×3. So it automatically scales it to the right pixel for you, which is nice, because if I kind of like maximize it to the full screen here, it's not gonna look even. The pixels is gonna be like scaled unevenly. You can see like a little bit jittery in the graphics there, which is kind of not good, not what I want, because especially there's no way to, I believe, natively record directly from the app itself. So what you will have to do is to use a separate app like OBS to kind of capture the window here, and that's basically what I used to do with this. And aside from that, you can turn on bilinear filtering if you want your 3DS footage to be blurry. I mean, considering the low resolution of the 3DS, I can see there being a use case for this. You can argue for that, but, you know, I prefer my pixels crunchy with no filtering. So, and also there's also a 3D mode and a little side by side. So what I believe, because this is a 2DS, we can't actually see 3D views here, but you can show the side by side view. So if this was actually a 3DS model that supports 3D, you can actually capture 3D footage from this, which I believe the Loopy capture card currently cannot do, because on his website he said that 3D capture is possible, but it's going to be implemented later on via a software update. And I have no idea how long that's been there, since considering he started the whole business in like 2014. So I'm not sure when he's going to deliver on that promise, but we'll see. And over here, you can actually also change the ratio of the screen, so you can make the upper screen larger than the lower screen, which is pretty useful for like recording specific types of games where there's more important stuff happening on the upper screen. So that's kind of neat. And you can also rotate the screen. All of these options I don't think exist on Loopy Software, so you'll have to like manually do these in post or something. So that's kind of a neat little feature. Of course, you can always full screen the thing if you want to. I gotta escape it. Whoops. There we go. And over here on the config menu, we have a lot of control options that I'm not even sure 100% what all of them do, because not all of these are going to be using. Like VSync, I have it turned on. You can limit your output to 30 FPS for some reason. I don't know if that, you know, improves the connection between the console and the PC. I don't think it does. You can change the transfer mode, which I guess basically just means like the bit rate. So like you have a light mode, which does like, I'm guessing it's like color data. So RGB 565 versus RGB 888. 3060 FPS, so for only the full version actually has the 3D support and sound support. And yep, we'll get to sound in a bit. Change the back buffer size, fret priority, USB receiver, normal, drawing normal, sound. I have it set to highest because actually I did have some issues, minor issues with the sound output on this thing actually. Now, to be fair, they never actually like. So if you go to sound settings here, you can see that the digital sound output function is actually, they still label it as a beta. I don't think they ever put it out of beta. So usually they recommend you to kind of just connect the 3DS's headphone jack directly to your PC and record that way. However, with a capture card, that introduces quite a bit of like noise, which I believe is like static, electrostatic noise or something like that. So if you want to remove that, you either need to have like a noise filter or just have like a special little doohickey they can hook up to your headphone jack and kind of remove the static noise that way. But right now it sounds fine. If I kind of like play some of the jingles, it sounds perfectly fine, which is nice, and they're not laggy at all, which is good. But I had some issues when, after I moved to my PC from a Mac in 2022, I kind of had this minor issue where occasionally the audio would start stuttering like this. So that basically rendered the audio basically unusable. I would either have to hook up aux cable from my 3DS to the PC to capture audio that way, or just hope that, you know, it works fine on a few days. Just if try troubleshooting it, it apparently has something to do with, like, you know, too many USB stuff happening at the same time. I'm not a tech whiz, but I've tried minimizing the amount of USB devices connected to my PC, tried connecting it directly to the PC instead of using like a USB hub or something like that, but you know, I have tried and it never really like consistently was able to solve the problem. So right now it works just fine, which is nice, but on Mac, however, before I switched to a PC, I was using this capture card on a Mac, and the software is actually different there, because obviously there's a difference between Mac and PC, but it has somewhat, but not all of the features of the PC version, but in general, it worked perfectly fine when I used it, with the only downside being that the sound was actually quite laggy on the Mac, so in post, I will have to actually adjust the audio delay so that it actually syncs together, so good thing that's not a thing on PC, which is kind of nice. And I guess lastly, we have expand 256 192. Oh, yeah, this is for basically if a DS game you want to capture, because normally if you play a DS game on a 3DS, the 3DS would kind of blow the screen up, and you would kind of make all the pixels blurry and something. So if I plug in the DS game here, I have new soup here. So if I hold start and start the game here, you would basically get, you know, a pixel perfect capture of the DS screen. Of course, on the 3DS screen itself, it's like minimized, but here you can kind of just, I can change the size to .3, and there we go, pixel perfect, crisp new soup that does not fit on a 1080p screen. I can do upper, lower. I don't know, that's a thing you can do. Oh, that's gross. Don't do. Why is the screen wide? Why would you do this? Yeah. A great way to botch your capture card display. Don't capture it like this. Let me change it back to 50/50, dot by dot times 2. There we go. So that's basically what that does. If I zoom back in, you can see all this black border surrounding the screen here. So that's kind of neat. Select console types. Oh yeah, you can choose between 3DS XL, 2DS. I don't know, it's like you have to select your console type, which I don't know if that affects anything. Because apparently, I know there are like earlier versions of the Katsukity 3DS capture card that apparently didn't have sound support, so mine thankfully has one. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but right now it works just fine. You can calibrate the clock and data, so I guess if the screen is not syncing properly, you can adjust these settings. So at least, like, even though some people say that Katsukity capture cards are not as reliable as Loopy's from their experience, there are at least multiple settings for you to be able to tweak. And I love how if you press nobody, you can hear Mario going bye-bye. Let's go back to the home menu here. But yeah, that is essentially the 3DS. Oh, you can also do separate screen spacing, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it's a very basic like viewer. It's basically what you expect from a viewer. Oh, I got a notification for playing DS software for the first time. I don't think this, can you change the, okay, yeah, if you add spacing to it, the dot by dot features don't really work that well because it's not scaling properly. Yeah, that's grunkled up. You can also reduce space and add space. And of course you can side view mode, but that also kind of changes the resolution a little bit. So in that case, you might have to like tweak it yourself. Oh my god. Why is it squished like that? That's kind of weird. But widen it, I guess. Yeah, it's a weird pixel scaling if you choose to use side view mode. I would rather just do the regular mode and, you know, have it be pixel perfect, and then just kind of capture the screen and then do the layout adjustment afterwards in post in my editing software. So that's how I've generally always captured my footage using this capture card. Right now, it still works perfectly fine, but when I started having like minor issues with it on my PC, and I also, well, the 2DS is fine on its own, but you know, when I'm trying to capture software, I would much rather have like a better like ergonomic handheld thingy rather than having the capture card cable jut out from the side, you know that. So that's why I decided to upgrade to the Loopy card. So yeah. So that was the Katsukity 3DS capture card. So it did serve me well for basically like what, 5 years at this point. But you know, it was working fine on my Mac, but once I switched to the PC, it actually did like cause like a few like weird issues for some reason. But overall, like 80% of the time, it did what I wanted it to do. So you know, it's still a perfectly fine capture card. But of course, I was limited because I couldn't show, you know, any footage that rely on the 3D effect. Well, I can't capture 3D footage, but you know, I can demonstrate having 3D turned on for certain software. And also it couldn't, you know, record new 3DS software. So recently I found out that Loopy was actually taking orders for 3DS capture cards again. So I believe they started again recently in around like the beginning of 2023, like this year. And they were starting to take orders for capture card modifications, not for the original 3DS, but for new 3DS XLs. And it just so happened that, you know, I had a new 3DS XL installation. So they don't sell consoles on their own pre-installed with the capture cards. You have to send their console to them to get it, you know, modded. So I actually managed, at that point, once I learned about Loopy making capture cards again, I went online, I found a second-hand 3DS XL for around $127 US, which was actually a pretty dang good price for a new 3DS XL nowadays, because those are actually starting to rise in price. And I bought that because it was in a better condition than my current new 3DS XL that I've owned since 2015. Actually, here is my 3DS XL that I've owned since 2015. As you can see, it's not in the greatest condition. A lot of these systems have problems with like the paint peeling off the cosmetics and something like that. So I figured I could transfer the data from my main system to the one that I recently purchased, and so I can send my old system over to Loopy to mod it into a capture card for $198 US. And that's not counting shipping. So I spent $15 US on my own to ship from Hong Kong to the US, and then I paid $22 US shipping for the return trip from US back to Hong Kong. So in total, I paid around $362 US from scratch, getting the system, getting it modded, shipping it there, everything. So it's slightly higher. It's a slightly higher price than the Katsukity one that I paid back in 2018, but it did come back to me with a little USB-C connector attached to it. Look at that cute little connector. So yeah, in terms of the aesthetics, this is definitely less intrusive than the 2DS we just saw earlier, because there's nothing sticking out of the system or anything. I'm not sure if the Katsukity versions of the new 3DS XL capture cards had something jutting out. Actually, let me put something on screen just to show you if it does. Alright, there we go. But yeah, overall, this is kind of neat. There's a little USB-C port on there, and it actually even charges your system. So if I kind of like plug in USB-C, they're not even connected to a computer, it starts charging. So that's kind of neat. The downside is, like the Katsukity card, it definitely gets a little bit hot around the area near the port when you're doing it, when you're capturing footage, but that's, you know, that's to be expected for a capture card installation. But otherwise, yeah, it does minimal modifications to the outside of the system. You can still use it as normal, but instead of using mini USB, it uses USB-C, which is, you know, is objectively the better option. So that's kind of cool. So I will show you guys how the capture software from Loopy works now. Alright, so here we are with Loopy's 3DS capture card software. So as you can see, the UI is definitely a lot more simple than what we just saw over on Katsukity. But according to Loopy's website, this can support like down to like Windows XP. So, you know, backwards compatibility. Love to see it. So let's just turn the 3DS on. So, we've got just like a plain window here, and also as with the Katsukity one as well, changing the volume on the 3DS doesn't do anything here. It's capturing audio directly from the system, but there is a volume slider here that you can turn down or turn all the way up. if you want, which is kind of nice. And if you want to change the size of the window, you'll have to manually do it yourself. As you can see from the title bar, it actually shows you what resolution that you're capturing on. So the base 3ds resolution is 400 by 480, but if I want to like double the size to 800, for example, it will thankfully just snap to it. Okay, that's window snapping doing a thing, so let me toggle that a bit up. There we go. It just directly snaps to 800 by 960, and now I have ×2 resolution, which is kind of nice. So I would imagine I could just open something like OBS and capture this window directly and then do footage editing on it afterwards, but Loopy Software does also allow you to record it directly. Now over in video settings, we can actually change the video codec we want to use. So I think it defaults to Microsoft Video 1 when I first started it. I think it depends, like it changes depending on what you have on your own system. But we can change the quality and FPS 30 or 20 for some reason. And you can pick to record the top, bottom, or both screens. But I did follow the recommendations by the community and tried out this little lossless codec that we have here that we downloaded online. So there's no quality toggle because it's lossless. But if I record here, should be able to, as you can see, we're already at 10 megabytes. So yeah, this definitely kind of eats away at the size because, you know, it's lossless and all that. But hey, if you want to record directly to an AVI file and then tinker with it afterwards, you can indeed record directly off it like this. It's up to you. I personally would rather probably just stick to using OBS because the audio's output is also fine as is. Like it's not laggy like when I'm using the Katsukity one on a Mac or something. So speaking of audio, let's check out the audio settings. Yep. Recording source and output. I think I actually have to change the output device and record it in order for it to actually register the recording, so I can record directly from my microphone for some reason. But yeah, I can basically take a screenshot or record audio. Let me do another audio recording just to see if this time it captures the audio. But yeah, worked just fine. Let me save that, and I'll probably, if I can stick that in Premiere and show you how it looks like, I will do it now. Alright, so that's the basic gist, but what's another thing you can do with this? So if you right-click the capture menu here, I can pick display type 2D, 3D, DS stretch. So 3D here is actually blanked out. That's what I said earlier about it not having 3D support yet, but it's planned, apparently. They'll add it in the future. If I move the 3D slider now, you can see the image is shifting, so it's only recording one eye. I believe this is the right eye footage, but you can indeed... You can show the 3D slider shifting, but you can't actually record in 3D as of right now. So, but you can also still do the DS ratio. Now it's zoomed back out, but I can like probably zoom it back in. Oops. There we go. This is the proper resolution for DS games. You can also do GBA if you want. So, yeah, for the ambassador, I'm guessing this is for the ambassador games that you know, use the GBA mode on the 3DS. And you can do scaling. Of course, you have bilinear filtering if you want that. You can hide the border, so you can just have a borderless window if you want. Also pretty dang useful. You can set it always on top, and you can split the window. So if I press split window, now it's like 2 different screens, which is, I think, very useful for if you want to set up like a stream layout in OBS or something. So I can basically resize these manually if I want. I can actually full screen top screen if I want. Full screen the bottom screen if I want. I can even put these on 2 separate monitors, so I can have a setup that looks like this.
These guys ever get tired? At this rate, the power of flight is going to expire before they do. Then let's go after the command.
So yeah, that's me actually using my Android tablet as a second display so I can put the bottom screen on it. And yeah, in a situation where there's like near zero lag, this is actually a pretty dang awesome way to play 3DS games. Like Kid Icarus Uprising on this is like a beast. But yeah, I haven't actually properly done any footage capturing with this yet. But so far, the reliability, all the different features you have displaying windows, the only thing I kind of miss is not being able to rotate the display. I'm not sure if that's a setting in here somewhere. But I imagine I could just, you know, do that in post anyway. So I'm not too bummed out about not having that in the Loopy software. So if I recombine this, we can make it back one screen. There we go. But yeah, this is just kind of a no-frills capture software, and it just does what exactly it sets out to do. So I am properly thrilled to actually use more of this. And actually, before we go, since I can flex myself having a new 3DS capture card. I figure I'm gonna play some Xenoblade Chronicles 3D because I surely can't do that on my 2DS, my puny little 2DS. Oh yeah, oh, Xenoblade 3D looks very crunchy when you blow up on the screen. Oh boy. Can we like, can we blow up the top screen? I want to see how that looks. Oh yeah, you got any more of them pixels? I mean, like, this is... Okay, I'll take it back. This is one of the instances where you probably want to turn on bilinear filtering. There we go. Now it looks slightly more tolerable, but... If you want your Xenoblade to have crunchy pixels, yeah, sure. Just like, can you believe I actually first played Xenoblade and beat it on a 3DS, on a new 3DS? I mean, it's an impressive port, but like, dear lord. But hey, yeah, I can now capture new 3DS stuff. Not a lot of the stuff that's actually I don't think I'll actually be recording lots of new 3DS exclusive footage in the future, but this is a nice thing to have. Alright, we've seen enough of crunchy show. We gotta get back to the home menu now. So yeah, there's a quite nifty little capture card we have here. I suppose for me, it's mostly just a marginal upgrade from the 2DS, since I could use just fine. All I'm getting here is basically more reliable audio and also the ability to record 3D. Trust me, that will be important for the next core video somehow. But for now, I'm hoping this will continue to serve me for years to come, just as the 2DS did for me prior. So that's about it for the Loopy one. So yeah, that's my experience with both the Katsukity and Loopy 3DS capture cards. Now, I've only just recently obtained the Loopy one. I haven't recorded a lot of footage with it yet. But I can tell, just from comparing these two systems together, the Loopy one will definitely be a more substantial upgrade. Not that the Katsukity one was bad, or didn't serve my purpose at all. It served me for like 5 years. But I think this is like a decent upgrade. It was worth the price, I would say. I think generally they both have their own pros and cons. Like, on the surface level, Loopy is definitely the more, objectively superior capture card. It technically is more reliable, if you want to say. But there are some pros to the Katsukity one as well. If you want more variations on different types of systems, if you want one installed on your 3DS XL, new 2DS XL, or just all the other bajillion 3DSs out there, then, a Katsukity card might be more up your alley. But, different strokes for different folks. I hope, this is not an objective comparison between the two, because I only have, an old 2DS versus a new 3DS XL. This is not a fair comparison at all. But, if you're interested in the market for a 3DS capture card, I hope this personal experience that I have with, this capture card and comparing it to this capture card will, at least help you a little bit in making your decision. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quick little look at both of these capture cards, and now I gotta really get back to writing that script for the core video. So stay safe and take care.